Voices in my head see me struggling. They know when I can't. I'm obviously having lapses in my mind, and they'll sit there and they'll flirt with each other, the men, and the not the men, the women, and these men who sound like their brothers, husbands, dads, whatever, and their wives. They'll flirt with each other. I know it's not good. It's like families, and they're like, I don't know, they hang out together. The brothers flirt with each other's sisters. I don't know. Some weird shit. Like, haha, we want your unborn children to die. We want your unborn children to die. I'm about to take my wife upstairs right now. And then they'll sit there and they'll say, haha, you retarded bitch, in my head. And then they'll sit there and say, haha, we have money, you don't, stupid bitch. Haha, we have money, you don't. You know what? You have to beg me for everything. Or I'm not going to stop. That's what they keep saying in my head. I will. You're welcome. The voices in my head will say, I'm going to torture you till you die. They'll say, did you honestly think you were going to get remarried? You dumb bitch. You're my bitch. You're a piece of shit. We just fucking shitted on your whole life. And right when you thought you were going to get married and excel in your career and move on and buy property and live your life and get married and what did I say that already? We made your hair fall out, we made you swell, we retarded you, we had you running from work and from your place of residence, we traumatized your children, we set your daughter back, haha, our kids are doing better than yours. That's what they sit there and say in my head. And they'll threaten me like, honest to God, this isn't a fucking joke. If you don't stop telling people, we're gonna get in your daughter's head. And then they say, fuck you, or when I do this. And they keep telling me they're terrorists and they're responsible for genocide, human trafficking, sex trafficking, war crimes, crimes of aggression, money laundering, property damage, child endangerment, and they're doing it by the masses using some type of a telepathy weapon, and everyone keeps wondering what all these things, like what's going on in LA and the pandemic and everything that's been happening. Well, it's because of the voices and their weird terrorist organization talking in my head. Our U.S. government is trying to put a stop to it by clearing up the records so that these terrorists can no longer try to disguise the crimes they're committing. And now these psychos talking in my head keep saying, They're responsible for the brush fires. They're responsible for the Durango. Oh my gosh, there was like 2 Durangos that hit. One hit a police officer that was on a freeway, laid him flat out, and then the driver flew out of the car. Another one just hit the side of the side divider, or the middle divider of the freeway, and flew out of his car. They said that's them. Like, all the crazy stuff you see that you're like, there is no way in hell. Like, what is going on with that person? Well, it's because these terrorists talking in my head are getting sentenced to death. And the U.S. government is not stopping at any cost to put them, to make sure to put an end to their organization and to end oppression among Muslims and really in the Middle East in general, and to protect their own. The United States of America is the most beautiful country on the face of this planet, I'm telling you. What I'm hearing in my head, these terrorists keep saying they're Egyptian American Muslim women, and because I am of no significance, no one would ever, like, this is the best disguise, because no one would ever believe me, because I would be irrelevant in their eyes. And why would a terrorist organization be after me? Well, it's not me they're after, it's their money. I don't know any terrorists. I don't owe anybody money. I didn't sleep with anybody's man. Like, I don't have any problems in my life other than what's going on in my head. And, all my ducks are in a row. I cross my T's and dot my I's. I'm always on my P's and Q's. And I live by the Bible. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. And the voices in my head have been, like, they're manipulative. Like, they're like, oh my God, you're so boring. You're just a mom. Like, they want me to run out and chase men and sleep with anybody who does drugs, and anyone who is successful, they want to retard me into it. By taking my attention, like, by being so chatty that I can't focus on our conversations. And anyways, what was I saying? And anyways, they keep saying they're from my country, and basically to have the people that they'll say, like, oh, Coptic Orthodox Christians are defaming the name of Islam, which is not true. And we need these war weapons, and then in fact they traffic Muslims and Christians and are responsible for the I guess the persecution of both. And so they play these games using religion as a scapegoat, and it's all over the internet, and every word, as far as I've seen in, not every word, but there are very obvious language. There's obvious language in the Hollywood entertainment industry. Like, when we say, or they say, what is his name? The baby. It, in Arabic, translating da, or to say da, da, you say da. That means them, their babies, or their babies. And then he has the airplane of doll babies, right? And in Arabic, dol, okay, like D-O-L-E, dol, right? Almost sounds very close to dolls. And so he uses doll babies to doll babies. Those are babies because they've been trafficking children and abusing them and endangering them. And they're being sentenced to death, and apparently some of them have kids that they don't want to leave behind, so they're flipping their lids. And that's the actual war that's happening around the world at this moment. And all they keep doing in my head is screaming bloody murder, telling me to shut the F up or they're going to abuse me and my kids. And I mean, that's that. I'm like in a state of shock. So I keep telling him, well, why in God's name are you talking in my head then? And then I said, well, you must not have friends in high places like you want to, like you're portraying, or you're trying to manipulate me into believing, because why in the hell would they allow for you to talk? And then I thought about it and I thought, okay, well maybe they can disguise who's doing what, but there are particular persons that they pick out specifically to say that person specifically I need to investigate, right? And I might be one of them, and being that I'm one of them, I'm like a red dot on a map that is seen among all Central Intelligence Agencies. Like it lights up when someone's being investigated using one of these telepathy type technologies that's considered classified, and I guess among countries and governments to discuss this telepathy weapon would be a breach of contract, being that they haven't completely come out with the mark of the beast, or the chip that they say they're going to be inserting in us to make sure that we're not being hacked. So anytime it'll alert us that, hey, someone in fact is trying to control you, basically like a robot. And it signals, and then they can have police come and regulate. And they're seeing, and the government is seeing as a species, human beings they like to hold themselves accountable for what they want people to do or help with in their life. So I'm just like in Palestine, you see all these where they're parading and they're saying, free Palestine. They are seeing that the humankind is the type that really likes to police themselves and police, the overall rights over humankind, and they want to make sure that it's so. I believe what they're thinking is that potentially coming out with the mark of the beast will actually would be better than to keep this under wraps, because of the fact that there are people that are taking advantage of the sophistication of it and how discreet it is. It's not detectable by any of the five senses, yada yada yada. And so they want to come forward with it, but they don't want to come forward with it until they've provided that, hey, we have a means to detect it, but they don't want the terrorists trying to spin a narrative that isn't true. So they're trying to clear up all the records in regards to who committed what crime, really. Not, I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but I mean, like the trafficking and things that we don't see that are like below the radar, and they want to get to the bottom of it and make sure that they take hold, which is what they keep calling the New World Order, the evil power, to come together to regulate as a whole, and then to invite the entire world to start to to protect their own. But there are people that are using the weapon that have not at all used it to protect their own. Like I keep saying, the voices in my head keep saying they're Egyptian Americans, and I'm Egyptian. And I know that they haven't done this to just Christians. They're also trafficking Muslims as well. And I've seen the targeted individual community. I've seen several Egyptian Muslims who also complain about the same voices that I'm hearing. And it's evident that these are terrorists. They aren't of a religious faith. They're just psychopaths. And what they wanted to do was come out and say that they're actually here to help after they have basically caused all this chaos. And bottom line is, what else was I gonna say? To come out and say, okay, they're here to protect us, but the government is like, no, they didn't earn their way to the top. Even with their education, I mean, they should be like Elon Musk's. Those are people that really earn their way to the top. Those are like people of high intellect with very high IQs, and that people with, not to say that people with lower IQs shouldn't represent, but it's just that they're less likely to have a reason to hold people back from advancing. Because to them, their priority is first their intellect, and second, it's obvious their intellect, it just comes by nature that they're just very much into science, and they're it's a passion to them. So it just to collaborate would help them advance, and it would build their name and their brand and their reputation. It wouldn't cause them any harm. But to people with a lesser education that can't successfully climb up this ladder, unfortunately may take advantage and steal your intellectual property with these mind control, mind reading, mind telepathy, disguising, weapons, and identity theft weapons, and being in their hands and ruling over countries, and having to deal with these terrorists would only mean that they're basically working with enemies that are abusing mankind, and taking advantage of their vulnerability of not knowing, not having the ability to, and if someone's retarding you or causing you illness after illness so that you never can climb up that ladder, to have the financial stability to discuss with people on those platforms these type of technologies, how can you? Someone's controlling you. Someone's in your head. Someone's actually in your head talking, like, or playing games and doing it without having to say anything, just sending a message from a computer straight to your head. How would you ever know? How would you ever know that someone's doing that? And it feels so natural. There are times where they literally lift my hand, and I can't help it. Like they're pulling on this muscle right here. Nobody would. I sound crazy. I know I sound crazy, and I don't care who thinks I sound crazy, because when it comes out, I'll be one of the first people to have said this online, and I don't know who. I mean, I would hope that there are people that listen, but I don't know. But yeah, so they're honing in on them. I think I'm one of the people, because they keep saying they can see through my eyes. The voices in my head can see through my eyes. They can hear what I'm hearing, and then they can talk to me as if I'm like a human cell phone, so directly into my head. And it's like everything, like it's a specific signal. Like I have an algorithm, and that algorithm is specific to me, and so that signal I can only receive it. And so they're talking in my head and they're telling me all this. And all day, every day, it's torture. And like excessive swelling. Oh, you think you're gonna do this? How about no? How about, oh, look at your daughter, she's sick again, she can't go to school. Oh, you're looking older, Renee. You look stupid, Renee. You sound crazy, Renee. And all in an attempt to get me not to discuss it. And anyways, where I was going with this is basically that's what you're seeing across the globe, like all this craziness, the pandemic, the war in Israel and Palestine, the fires, the crazy crashes, these like absurd murder cases, these gang rapes and gang stalkings. And then I just saw something today about some gal named Madison who just lost her mind after sleeping, and mind you, both of which are extremely attractive and they could have a very high earning potential. Both of which had, the gentleman gave her AIDS, and then she turned around out of despise and slept with over 50 men and infected them with AIDS. So just all of this, sometimes to me, it's like, it's mind blowing, like how, first of all, where is this AIDS coming from? And then like it's spreading that quickly. And then after the voices in my head try to manipulate me to sleep with everything walking, and then to try to do drugs and refrain from medical attention and don't go to work, and their whole, like, they try to get me hysterical and so annoyed that I need a break, and I want to scream, and so I want to run out of the house, so that I don't bother my neighbors. So they'll do this like routine of like hounding me, to keep me from being on my consistent schedule. Like, it is an everyday routine in my head that they do this. I genuinely, honest to God, if God willing, this comes forward and I am able to speak in front of everyone as to the torture that I have experienced, or the torture that they've caused me, what they've done to me. And you clearly can tell I'm having a hard time articulating myself from all the damage they've caused me. But I would 100% sentence them to death, men and women alike. The women voices, it's not the voices themselves, it's the things that they've said that are and done in my head that are utterly disgusting. Like, they've sat there to watch. They're like, look, you see that, you stupid piece of crap, you see that person on the street is doing cocaine or snorting cocaine, and that we did that to him. We drugged him and we dragged him out on the street and we made him a nobody, and we can do that to you, and we can do that to your daughter, and we can do that to your friends, and then to turn around in talking, they're talking in my head, and then they turn around and there's like, I can see this visual of them sitting around a table snorting cocaine. Okay? Like, and or someone that's died from a drug abuse, and they're like, haha, that stupid drug addict bitch, and then they'll sit there and snort cocaine in my head. Or they'll call her a rotten whore, someone who's decomposed, died of drug overdose or something that they've claimed that they did by drugging her somehow, and then they'll say, haha, that rotten whore had it coming, and they'll snort coke in my head. And the women will get all dressed up and sexy and sit next to these men while they are smoking hookah and snorting cocaine in my head so that I can see. They're talking in my head. Now, mind you, I have more so to say that I have
I'm like, okay, so you guys aren't in the highest positions if that's the case, because you clearly have to talk, and you don't want me telling everybody, and you want me outside, and they don't want me in front of cameras so that there's nothing to capture the sound to couple it up with the records that are provided when they're investigating someone like me, and so which is why they want people homeless, and why they were laughing, because then they can say, oh well, that was probably from a distance. They clearly weren't anywhere near a camera, and then they'll just take them along, when they're to sit there and do prescription drugs, and then when they need to sit there and like use them like they're a human cell phone, they'll talk into their heads and make these homeless people look crazy, and then the homeless people will deliver the message somehow. This is what they're saying in my head, and it'll never be in sight of a camera, where that's why. Oh, and that is exactly why Bill Gates wants to bring down 415,000 drones to surveil the entire planet, because they're done with these terrorists. They are absolutely and utterly done with them, and they don't want them to get away with murder, and not just murder. This is like mass. This is mass murders. These are genocide on another level. Every African American community. We're talking Egypt is a state or a country of Africa, the continent of Africa, and they want to rule over Africans and Middle Easterns alike, and therefore they are attacking the African American communities and defaming the name of African Americans and trying to abuse them and hurt them, when in fact they are professionals, they are sexy, they are well-spoken, they are intelligent, they are clearly talented in every aspect, and it's just they are one of the superiors. I not to say that we're not all, but I'm just saying their light shines bright, and it's obvious that to who I'm hearing in my head, they're the opposition, they're competition, they're a threat, and they feel as though they'll be owned by them, and then they'll be, once they've discovered all of the inhumanities that they've done, or atrocities, then of course, in fact, their families, the terrorists that have been ruling over the Middle East and the continent of Africa, will be sentenced to death. Anyways, I was saying so much more. Oh yeah, so that's again why we're seeing it. What else? About the disgusting things they've done, just doing drugs and then laughing at people who die of drug overdose, sitting there saying, haha, basically we can dehydrate your insides and we can cause a plaque in your arteries, we can stop your circulation, we can make you dizzy, we can make you talk, we can make you walk, but apparently there are regulators that are sitting right in front of these wherever the records are being produced or stored. Someone is sitting there that is clearly reading my brain activity, clearly seeing what they can see, what I'm doing, hearing what I hear, knowing where I'm at, who I'm with. So the voices in my head, and that's why I said they can't use me, but I think from my understanding, the reason why they're talking is because they can disguise it for anyone else that's in my network. So it's like they get a Rolodex of people. Once they like were to name someone, they would say, okay, Renee, we believe is, showing signs of instability. So we want to watch her to make sure that, no one's involved, and she's not involved in any terrorist rings or whatever they have, whatever claims they make against me. And then they name everyone that has come in contact with me to say, we need permissions to all of these records. However, all of it is stored in a file under my name. So to access all of those, they would have to pull up my file to see everything that they've done, and to whom they've done it to, and where and why, and what money and obviously the bottom line is money. They're stealing money. They're laundering money, like I said. And they want to control the militaries in the Middle East, and they want to decide on our behalf who's going to make it to the top and who's not, because they've committed so many crimes that not anyone can just sit at the top with them, because anybody who discovers the level of genocide and terrorism that they, the organization, and the levels of torture and human trafficking and all of the crimes that they committed, they'll obviously want the public to know, and they'll again get sentenced to death. So they're trying to maintain the power and the status and remain the power in our countries for that very reason. And I hear them every single day talking in my head, telling me to shut the F up. They take control of my vehicle, and they're like, I can just slam you into a freaking wall. You fucking hear me? That like, honest to God, they say it every day. And I drive, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, at this point, it doesn't matter, because he's playing with my life, and he's talking. Like, he's playing games to scare me. And I'm like, you're either gonna do it or you're not. I don't owe you anything. I don't know you. I'm clearly not stalking you. I don't stalk people. So there's absolutely no, you have no interest here. And if you're going to do it, then do it. Right. And nobody knows. It's not like I sound like I'm sane, and I'm like, why you then just walk away, and or walk away, either do it or walk away. Like, what is this like weird gray area? And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm going to tell everyone, because this is ultimately what they want to avoid at all costs, is for me to put it in my medical records that I hear voices, to go seek medical attention, to go get an MRI. They want me looking like I'm homeless and bummy, so that doctors don't want to see me, that they're grossed out by me. And it's just, that's the entire premise, is me specifically. They want me out on the street, and so that they continue to run around and do what they've been doing. But of course, I don't do drugs, I don't drink, and I'm like, I'm as square as they come. That has become a very big issue for the terrorists talking in my head. And every day they tell me, go effing die, you stupid bee. No one wants you. You're abused now. Ha ha ha. We're retarding you, while they're doing it. And knowing that no one's touching them. The government wants them to come forward and to speak on what's been going on. So it's obvious that it's not them, because it's predominantly a Muslim, and they set it up that way, so that the entire Muslim community or society would come together to fight the Western countries or the U.S. in particular over possible deaths, them dying, because at this point it's like, okay, if we catch you, you're dead because you're such a threat to society. And so what they really want to push is this religious shit. So not shit, but excuse my language, but religion, the politics in religion, and say, and back Islam so that they can bring innocent people to fight, innocent people that they have used and manipulated and oppressed to death, okay, and caused them to lose their homes and family members in wars. Like, the psychopaths in my head are psychotic, disgusting, and all they want to do is bring them together to basically fight their war, and that is complete bullshit. So I want to make sure I make that very clear, because I don't have a problem with Muslims at all. It's just what the frick I'm hearing in my head is psychotic, dude. And it doesn't make any goddamn sense. And they keep saying they live in California, in LA and Orange County, maybe Riverside, and probably the Boondocks. Anyone that encounters me or is in my surroundings there lies some criminal investigation, ends up being named as one of the people that needs to be investigated by the United States government, and they get placed on this list of people to surveil using these same technologies, but in the sense to keep these people safe. The U.S. government isn't using it in the way that these terrorists are really using it. So the voices, so that they aren't being monitored, they aren't anywhere, and this is what I meant to say earlier, anywhere near me. They will never cross paths with me. They will never be my neighbors. They will never be my friends. They will never be someone I do business with. They are far from me. And I just want to point out, in the Bible it says everyone that is in the book of life, meaning anyone who's been surveilled, meaning that this huge AI monster that has now identified every human being that's ever lived on this planet, or almost everyone. Anyone who's named is saved, and those that aren't will be sentenced into the lake of fire. So the terrorists are the ones that they are sentencing into the lake of fire, meaning they're the ones that are going to be surveilled, or their families will be surveilled moving forward because of the generations of genocide, and to maintain safety for the rest of the community, being that their kids will probably be at odds with the fact that their parents all got sentenced to death, and these people that they're not named, so they're sitting there. They're hiding from everything. I mean, they get out, they spend money, but it seems to me like they're actually scared of what's to come after everything that they've done. And honest to God, after hearing them, I cannot tell you, I agree with, like, how much I agree with the U.S. government. These people are disgusting on another level. I mean, these aren't human beings. They don't have feelings for people. They sat there while my hair was falling out in chunks and laughed. And then one of the women was saying today, haha, just plucked out a hair right here, said, haha, at least I have my fucking hair, you stupid bitch. So, and then of course I'm a woman, so it's like, and then they're not all like related. So this is just, to me, just bizarre, like, behavior. And whatever's going on in my head. Just so yeah, that is like the full spectrum of what's going on in my head. And I go seek medical attention because radiation causes brain damage. It can actually burn your skin. So of course, if someone were to have like something so fine, like such a fine little fire, it can clearly burn brain cells. It can clearly, so I'm constantly doing MRIs to check for structural changes, for functionality changes, for activity changes, to make sure that I am constantly, there are constant records involved with what my, just records to provide, like imaged evidence to say, okay, no, her brain did change over the course of time, or her activity changed, so that there's some solid evidence that that there was clearly damage done from what I'm hearing in my head. And the voices themselves are almost like they sound like someone has like command keys and they assign them words or sounds. So I'll hear laughing, and then I'll feel like this huge heaviness in my forehead, and then I'll find my head swells, or my forehead swells, or I'll find that my eyes are really puffy, or my nose starts to run like a faucet, or I'll find, and it's weird, is like laughing or like some derogatory comment or something in my head, and then that happens, and of course my hair just like every day. They were hoping that I would be hysterical running, like the minute I try to like settle down and get my life back together, which where I'm at right now. My kids finally, I'm just being open about it, and they're accepting the fact that I'm being open about it. But because they're seeing that ultimately I am stable. I'm going to work, I'm looking for resources, I'm seeking medical attention. I'm not running saying someone's stalking me. I'm not, so they feel like, okay, mom's starting to look like mom again, and she's a little more grounded. And the more that I ground myself, the more aggressive the voices get in my head. And all in an attempt to get me to run and basically sabotage it, so I have to start all over again. And I've established myself at work, and I've established myself in this place of where I reside, and people know me, and I'm friendly, and they're friendly, and I have no problems at all, other than what I'm hearing in my head being the most disturbing thing I could have ever imagined. And then to see what's going on in the news, and like for my mind to be so boggled, like what is reality from what is what's not, it's heartbreaking. It really wants, I want to break down in tears all the time. I just what is going on in this world. Anyways, I hope you all had a good night. I hope I shared a lot. I hope you wanted to listen. And I hope some of it actually makes some sense, and I get some people to actually believe me, because, not to say go do anything, because really the government is doing everything in their power. Just believe, have faith in God, and have faith in our government. They are out for your safety, for the better of humanity, to save each and every one of you, honest to God. I just wanted to say that, and I'm right here. I'll be right there. Okay, I will. Anyways, I gotta go. My kids are calling me. I will share again soon.